This is pre-reading for Alpha to Omega, Chapter 37, The Athenians Go Too Far, Part 4. So you can see from the introduction, Thucydides, after Nicias' speech, the Athenians defeated the Syracusans in battle, but lacking a cavalry, they were unable to pursue them into Syracuse and capture the city. So the Athenians spent the rest of the winter collecting more troops, horses, money, provisions, and getting ready for a big push in the spring. Meanwhile, though, both the Athenians and the Syracusans sent embassies to the Sicilian city of Camarina to win over the Camarinaeans, as allies. Now, we've heard Hermocrates speak before in the part 2. Now he is the Syracusan ambassador who speaks here. Below is an excerpt from his speech to the people of Camarina. So we have another speech, all right? Now, chapter 37 focuses on conditional sentences, and that's where I really would like to start. Okay, so I'm going to turn on my highlighter, and let's get a unique color here. Let's get green. Our conditions are all going to be in green, okay? Now, I'm just going to point these out because there are some variations. As you learn to work with conditional sentences, you also learn that sometimes they flip-flop the protasis and the apodosis, and the apodosis comes first, and then the protasis comes second. But more importantly, here we have a word which really is an alternate form of the word eon, okay? So ein is really eon, okay? And that's kind of important to remember, because otherwise you'll say, what in the world is that? Okay, so ein, now I'm looking for a subjunctive. There it is. Prospale, because eon is only used with the subjunctive. Okay, so what kind of condition do we have here? Well, here, here we have eon plus subjunctive, but the word order is inverted. So we kind of have to go backwards because our condition kind of is inverted. We have the apodosis here, or we have the protasis at the end. So if anyone should attack, okay, well, I take that back. We kind of just have half of a condition here. I don't think we go all the way back to epoiesas there. Melantes, the participle, followed by the infinitive. So just focus on what this might be saying here. So eon plus the subjunctive. Okay, our next condition is a little easier to spot. Okay, right here we have an on, right? So that immediately eliminates how many conditions? Well, only 3 have the apodosis in on. But you have to note again that the protasis and the apodosis are inverted here. So our sentence really starts here with I in line 5. Okay, I proasai, right? Or actually, I buloiste, I on. Okay, so what do we have here? We have I plus buloiste, optative. This looks like an optative, IA plus on. Okay, so what kind of condition is that? Right? That's the formula. That's the formula for future less vivid. Right? We have I plus optative, optative plus on. Okay, that's the second condition. Of course, she's going to be drilling the conditions. Now, at the bottom here, we have that same situation. Okay, up here, we have ein. I'm looking for a subjunctive. Well, I really only have one choice, right? But this one is pretty much pretty straightforward here. So here's my condition from here to here. So ean simakomatha ... dine estin. What kind of condition is that? So I have ean plus subjunctive followed by a present indicative. Okay, followed by a present indicative. That's the formula for present general, right? Okay, I'm going to scroll down here a little bit, go to the second paragraph, and let's take a look at some more conditions. We have one starting right here, and in this political speech, he's talking about the future, right? And what will happen, nikesusi. They will, if they will win, okay? And here is another one, okay? These all are future indicatives, all right? And that's where the first part stops. So what Hermocrates is saying is, if they will win, then this will happen, and this will happen, and this will happen, right? Now, take the chi here as an adversative, but if we will win, okay, then what's going to happen? Okay, just about the same thing as the previous sentence, okay? But now we have a string of, well, we have at least one future indicative that follows. And then he says, judge for yourselves, right? Okay, so the big thing about this reading, very naturally because of the material of chapter 37, is that she's focusing on conditions. At the end here, these conditions are all the same. What do we have here? These are all future most vivids, aren't they? Those are all future most vivids because we have I plus future indicative followed by a future indicative. Here's another future indicative. Here's another future indicative with leipsontai. And then I plus a future indicative here with nikomen, and leipsomatha is another future indicative. Okay, so these are all future most vivids, and we kind of expect that in a political speech, don't we? I mean, it's trash talking in a sense, because if they will win, this will happen. If we will win, this will happen. Okay, but from the writer's perspective, of course, he's expressing certainty. And you say, well, how can he be certain both they will win and we will win? No, in that case, it's not so much certainty as emphasis, right? He's being emphatic about what this will all entail. All right, now back to the top here. In this sentence, the first sentence, Hermocrates is confronting the people of Camarina who apparently just want to sit on the sidelines and not get involved. And that's why he starts out here with this dative in cowardice or through cowardice. Now, this word, therapoisete, please make sure you look at the vocab list because it just translates the whole concept for you. All right? And now he's putting words into the people of Camarina's mouth. And they say, through cowardice, you're pretending that you're really acting justly and being true to your word because you have an alliance with the Athenians. Okay, but he's saying you're just chicken. You don't want to get involved. Now, he says, in contrast, but that argument doesn't stand up because, and he goes on in this part right here to say, under what conditions did you make that alliance with Athens? Okay, just let's reflect upon that. Under what conditions did you make that alliance with Athens, but now adikoi autoi adikusin? They are the ones acting unjustly. Now, here, we have a break here. Now, hos adikon here we have an adverb with host, so it's an exclamation, right? Here remember, we're in a future less vivid condition right here. So, how unjust, almost he says it ironically. See how he picks up on this verb that he just said? Adikusen, but how unjust it would be. Now, when he talks here about tous phusai polemiois, and he uses this word phusai a couple of times, I'm just going to highlight it. What he's talking about is kinship. And the thrust of his argument is going to be, look, the Athenians, they are not your blood relatives. We are your blood relatives. That's what he means by closely akin by nature. Okay? We share the same island. The Athenians, they're from over there in Greece. But look, Syracusans are on the island of Sicily, and the Camarinians are on the island of Sicily. We undoubtedly have people who have intermarried. We're of the same kin. Now, you're telling me that blood doesn't count for more than a piece of paper with the Athenians? That's his appeal. That's really what his appeal is. Now, here we have me phobeisthe, exactly the same thing Jesus said to Peter, James, and John on the Mount of Transfiguration. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Okay, it's a plural imperative. Don't be afraid. Stop being afraid, right? There's that word paraskoie again, the expedition force. Really means the preparation, right? The thing that the Athenians prepared. All right, so first paragraph, the Camarinians said, or however you say it, they said, we don't want to get involved. And Hermocrates says, you're just chicken. And you're claiming, well, we can't get involved because we have an alliance with the Athenians. And he said, yeah, but that was a different circumstance. Now the circumstances have changed. And the Athenians are actually the aggressors, and they're the ones in the wrong. Now, are you going to help your blood relatives or not? Okay? I know you're afraid, but don't be afraid of the invasion force because, if we all band together, this will be fine. All right? But he does go on to warn them now in the second paragraph. And he basically says that, now, if the Athenians will win, will conquer you, that's what he says here, right? If the Athenians will conquer you, there's my direct object, hemas, okay, then what's going to happen? It says they're going to use you, they're going to win, and here we have kind of a dative of means, this whole dative chunk. But they will be honored by the name of themselves, by their own name. Notice the rough breathing mark there, how to. It's an alternate form of how to. So in other words, they're going to use you to get the victory, but they're going to take all the credit. You think they're going to share all the spoils of war with you? No, they're going to say it's a great Athenian victory. They're not going to give you any credit. This is what Hermocrates is arguing. Okay? And then he goes on to say, and what they're going to do is actually, he threatens and says they're going to turn right around and not only gain a victory, but then they're going to enslave people and don't think you'll be spared. But then he says, but if we should conquer, okay, then we're going to turn and punish you because you refuse to be in alliance with us. So he says you have to weigh your options here. If you can maintain your allyship with the Athenians, and we beat the Athenians, okay, you can't come to us and say, hey, we're blood relatives. No. Okay, we'll punish the Athenians, and we'll punish you because you were allied with the Athenians. So this is his argument. And so he closes, choose, or judge, you could even translate it, choose for yourself either, right? We have A or A. Here are your two options. Here are your two options. Okay, so conditions are a big part of this reading, and otherwise it's pretty straightforward. This ends pre-reading 37.